Good morning, afternoon. It's 11:20, December 21st, Thursday. Something I've been pondering about. And I know I'm late. I usually go live at 8:30 a.m. I well, I'll get to that. Something I've been pondering is in most heroes' journeys, the end prize or end result or hidden treasure at the end of the quest, that's not solely what the journey is about. It's usually about the manifestation of whatever the character is in which the actions they are enacting during the adventure and quest and journey. It's usually the manifestation of their new self by the end of it, right? And I find myself, like yesterday, for instance, um, I didn't really sleep a lot the night before. I don't know if I slept at all. I was having weird dreams. It was like one of those weird dreams where I don't know if I'm awake or if I'm asleep. And I felt good in the morning because I had to restart some servers for my work. Um, there's these credit card printers that are housed through different places in the nation, such as Shields, going to be Universal Studios and other places. And I'm in charge of the servers which house those credit card printers for all the credit card printers in the nation. And those servers need restarted. And so this was a day when I was waking up earlier than I'm used to, and I didn't go to sleep, period, anyway. It didn't feel like, uh, but I woke up during the time in order to restart them. And then I felt good in the morning, like usual. But then, like later on in the day, it just like kind of, I was drugged down into a state where I can feel that I hadn't slept. And, I could feel this like animosity towards how I felt because I like could barely stay awake in my chair, and I would really struggle with, especially with the post concussion symptoms. Like I have a hard time of pulling ideas in sometimes, like if I'm extremely tired or when I'm lacking sleep. So the symptoms were exacerbating themselves, and it was just like one of those days where it was just a rough day. Right after that, it seemed to be, and it's crazy because I'm I am prescient enough to know that what I am feeling and thinking in my head is not true in regards to the entirety of my story and my own, for lack of better words, hero's journey. But it can feel so real at the time. And something that came to me yesterday, I was just like, there are some days when the goals in which I've placed for myself to build upon the bases or the knowledge bases that I'm focusing on in this season of my life, those goals are set aside for the main goal of just get through the day. And that's what I did. I got through that day. And I am I'm taking a vacation day from work because it's holiday season anyway, and I'm bad at taking vacation. So my team like basically begs me to take vacation for probably for the compassion of my mental health, I guess, to not get burned out, right? And and so I didn't set my alarm this morning, and I fell asleep at my usual time, like 10:30, and I didn't wake up till like 8:38 exactly, actually. Which, if you hear the story of yesterday about how 3 7s and 8s are weirdly prevalent in my season. It's weird. Um, Yeah, that happened. I screenshot it. I picked up my phone. It was 8:38. I was like, weird. But it was like 10 hours of sleep, right? Damn near. And that's crazy. And I knew like once I woke up that my my state of mind and mindset would be like completely flipped on its head. It's so crazy how that happens too. You can go to sleep in a day that you're really struggling and then wake up the next day and feel like a new person. And I've been contemplating that. Like I've been on a journey, I would say. And just like every adventure that a hero takes, and you have to look at yourself as the hero. Sometimes, because if you look at yourself in any other manner, I think you voluntarily put a target on yourself to be susceptible to all to succumbing to all the negativity in the world. And you know, during times like I had yesterday, which they're going to happen like throughout my life, right? Entirely you can never entirely be free of struggles, right? In life. So the best thing you can do is prepare yourself and equip yourself mentally and spiritually and emotionally and all that in order to be able to battle those circumstances or be prepared for those battles, right? And I've been thinking about how during my journey in all of our lives, when we start to usually every hero's journey starts with like a call, like a calling they feel either manifesting from an internal source or an external source. And myself being a Christian and my belief in that God is real, um, we believe that Jesus Christ died on the cross. And then when that happened, he sent to us the Holy Spirit, which is on the inside of us. So, in that sense, in the perspective of a Christian, even things that you feel that manifest from an internal source are actually from an external source, which would be God, because when Jesus died on the cross, he sent us the Holy Spirit within us. So, as I was saying, when the hero begins their journey, it's usually because they feel called to something greater than themselves or they're greater than their current circumstance. And I feel like that brings about that sets the grounds for frustration to happen during the death throes, which by definition, death throes is the violent movements and noises that are sometimes made by a person who is about to die. And like I was saying, a hero's journey is not just solely for the objective or the end goal or to accomplish your dreams. It's really about who you become by the end of that journey. And in order to become that new person, the current persona in which you carry around has to die. Your current mindset dies. There are some things that come with you and some things that don't. And you can feel the death throes of your current self. You can feel that, and it causes frustration. And there are days when I feel that myself all the time. Like I constantly wonder about people in my life and current circumstances or places in which I deposit my time in order to acquire joy from something, if it's a recreational habit or activity, or if it's to acquire knowledge and increase my knowledge base in some manner, which by extension brings me joy regardless. I think about the relationships in these places in my life, and I wonder which of those are coming with me to my next, and which of those is not going to have a prevalent position in my future. And that can cause frustration and confusion and feelings of despair, which I feel the greatest weapon against all those things is my Christian belief and my faith in God. How having a belief in something that is outside of my reason and current understanding of the world, knowing that He is the master, He is omniscient, I think. I always get those words mixed up. Omniscient. That's what it is. I get omnipresent and omniscient mixed up, so I say omnipotent. I just noticed I was doing that a couple weeks ago. But I start to think, if you attach your belief in something that's outside of yourself, and you can believe that there's some source that's outside of this base level, this base frequency in which you're listening to and understanding and interacting within. You believe that there's something outside of that is not as cruel as the feelings you are taking in all the time. And it helps me be able to pull myself through, just believing that He is pulling me through. Because if I were relying on things that I understood, I'd go fucking insane. Which there are times, obviously, I don't know if this happens with everybody. There are times when I'm just like wondering, am I really am I losing my mind? Is this ridiculous to think? I've been watching, I don't know if you're familiar with, there's a novel by Frank Herbert called Dune, which is the movie Dune that just came out in 2021. And in that movie, Paul Atreides, he has been born by this woman who has inherent powers that are like, I guess you could say, psychic. And he's born into a royal family with heritage to take over this house within this sci-fi universe that is in control of a planet. And through genetics and the planning of certain offspring, having sex and then procreating and then creating new offspring, and then following that family tree and bloodline down, trying to get as many genetic traits into one person. There's this org called like the Bene Gesserit, which they are trying to bring about this person that has all of these genetic traits and abilities that could manifest a greater future for the entire universe. It's called like the Kwisatz Haderach is what they call it in Dune. And what I love about that movie and that lore is Paul Atreides in that movie. He sees these visions because he can see the future, which is part of his gifting, along with all these other gifts he has. He can see the future, and like in one of his visions, he sees himself getting stabbed by a person, which represents his current self having to die in order to bring about the Kwisatz Haderach, which is this super being of sorts, right? That has all these like psychic gifts and cognitive powers. In the movie, they state to bridge space and time. And what I love about that story is it represents how the understanding of your current self and the potential wrapped up in that understanding has to die in order for the new self that you are dreaming about and the dreams that you are placed within to come to fruition, right? Because let's say you have a dream to own a huge company someday. You have to be the person that can properly steward those things. And there's a friction in that journey where there's such a gap between who you currently are and the person that can handle those things when you first start that it can feel insurmountable. And there's this feeling of abjection, which is, well, that's the feeling that you have when, let's say, you're confronted with a funeral and you go see a dead body for the first time. Um, it When you see a body for the first time in a funeral, it brings about the possibility that death is real for you, right? It's not just this thing that's in the distance. And there's this feeling of abjection, and which is outside of what your current understanding was. Now that possibility of dying, it feels real. And you have to that process has to happen in order for you to become greater as well. And some things have to die including the current perspective you have of yourself. And right now in my life, I'm feeling a lot of I would say the death throes of my old self. And my life has been very blessed lately, and I've had a lot of doors opening and a lot of doors not really closing at all. And now that I say that, some doors God closes for you, but I think some doors He wants you to close yourself, because the act of closing that door yourself is the act of your old self dying and your new self ascending and ascending from dream state to the physical state. And when you close that door yourself, you can feel it. You can feel the knob. You can hear it as it shuts. Or when a door is opened or closed for you, that's a different process, just psychologically. When I open a door myself, I understand there's some effort to it. When someone opens it for me, it's usually a psychological process of gratitude, right? But when I open the door myself, I have to expend some effort in order to walk through. And there's a cost. Whereas you just walk through a door that was open for you. There's gratitude with that. And there's not really as much of a cost to yourself, right? And there's also, I believe, doors that you have to open yourself as well. And you'll be empowered by things outside of you, but the feelings of your current and old self dying, it's painful at times, and it doesn't synchronize with the dreams you have of your end goal coming to fruition. It doesn't feel like what you'd expect. It's, I don't know. It's just more painful. And I know at least myself, I've had to change things around in my schedule. And sometimes I ask myself, am I just like clawing and scratching and fraying at the seams in order to find a physical manner in which to bring about these things I'm dreaming about, when I believe I'm just being called to rest in a promise that I feel originated from an internal source, which was by extension tethered to an outside source. And I ask myself that. And when I go down that mental rabbit hole, it can be endless. When sometimes I literally am just being asked to just get up and walk on my own accord. And there's this balance that happens between living by faith and living by your own strength. And some things in your life requires you closing the door yourself, like I said. And it's like, for me, man, sometimes I feel like some things require me to suffocate it in order for them to die. Because if I don't go through that process of ending the existence of it or murdering it, so to speak, it won't end the way that I'm being called to end it. And then other things in life will never come to fruition until I plant the seed myself. And I find myself in this internal loop sometimes where, am I supposed to just rest in promise, or am I supposed to just start planting seeds myself? Do these seeds need watered by me? Or am I supposed to just, quote unquote, rest in promise? And then I can find myself getting so caught in that loop that I don't enjoy the process of now, that I'm just sitting around. Well, not sitting around. I'm actually frantically running in this journey to bring about what I'm dreaming of and what I feel called to. And I feel like the proper process of all this is your current understanding of yourself has to die, whether it be by your own hands. It is by your own hands, actually, I think. We have to do things that fly in the face of who we currently are and who I currently am in order to not only bring about the person we want to be, but to believe it. Like, if I don't start acting like the person that can do the things that I dream of, I'm not going to believe it myself. It feels chaotic. And I know currently I am extremely grateful for everything going on in my life. I'm grateful for everyone in my life. I don't know the I don't know the placements of all the relationships where they're going to be in my next. Excuse me. And I don't know exactly the time span of the activities in my next. But I do feel a sense of peace within the chaos of this journey, going from who I currently am or currently was to who I'm going to be. There's been a lot of friend circles I've been a part of over my life. There's been a lot of groups pertaining to certain hobbies and activities that I've been a part of. And they've all added to me in a positive manner. And I've been extremely grateful for them. And the positive feelings I can harbor from all of those activities and people make it harder for myself to walk into my next. I can get lost in that. And right now, I'm just in the interim. I don't know if anyone else that's listening to this ever feels like that, but I would just encourage you to keep walking. There's never any great story about any significant person, I don't think, that doesn't at least deal with some challenges or some internal monologue where I'm going insane, you know? Like all great people throughout the history of humankind, a lot of them have really crazy stories where they had to face extreme circumstance that were entirely negative. And it's that negative circumstance that brought about the personality traits that enabled them to steward what was at the end of the journey, which wasn't really the end. It was just another checkpoint in which to bring about the next. So I would encourage anyone watching to just keep moving. And I just kind of want to open up for discussion in the comments if anyone even watches this far. To what you believe. What do you believe about this? How do you go about dealing with the death throes of your current self manifesting into the person in which you dream of becoming, or the places you dream of being in, the things that you dream of stewarding, taking them from dream state to physical state, and what you source as, what do you use as a resource to bring that about? What belief system are you harboring? I know that, man, my faith in God has just like brought me through things that I didn't think I was ever going to get through. Even currently, now. Like I woke up today and I was like, dude, you slept forever. And I could feel it, you know? Yeah. And I felt like so peaceful. I was praying this morning, as I was praying this morning. And when I went for my morning walk, it's like, I'm where I am for a reason. The things that I'm praying about that haven't been answered yet are not answered for a reason. And God didn't make me to be a part of structures or infrastructure that is already currently standing, but He made me to bring about something new and unique from the different variables that He has placed in my heart and emotions and psychology. That's what I feel. And feeling the death throes of killing my old self and bringing about the new can be really confusing and demoralizing. But at the same time, it's man, feels really powerful too, because you're doing something that by the end of it, by my death, I know that I am going to have had a great adventure. And man, I can just look at my creator and be like, thank you. Thank you for all the tears. Thank you for all the trials. Thank you for all the fruits of the labor. Thank you for not answering the things that I asked because your understanding was greater than mine. Thank you for not succumbing to my requests and being outside of my understanding and reason. And thank you for blessing me when I needed it, when I couldn't get through it myself. And that, man, my belief system, as I've stated before, I think it is the perfect belief system, and it is true. I'm just curious as how do others go about the death throes of destroying their old self to bring about the ascension of their new self? Let me know. And life's crazy, isn't it? That's a good place to end. I will say I am extremely happy in life right now. And I'm one of those people where if I struggle one day, the next day I can look back at it and be like, that was wild, you know? And it's like, this is an adventure. And it's so amazing. And I'm so grateful to be in it. I'm grateful to be able to pray for things and believe in things that other people would say that'll never happen. You know, I'm grateful to have that state of mind currently because some people never get there. And that doesn't make me better than, it just makes me different. And that's okay. And I love you so much. And I thank you for anyone that's listened today or anyone in there. There's one person in chat. I don't know what you're doing, but I hope your day is amazing. I love you. Tomorrow I should be around 8:30, and I'm going to continue this discussion, I believe. Yeah, I didn't even read the Bible today. I've been studying the biblical text of Abraham, who is the character of faith. And it's a great story and representation of what it takes to step out and deal with walking in something you believe, but not knowing exactly what your current circumstance, how that's affecting the end goal that you're striving towards. What an amazing story. God's so good. All right. I love you and I thank you. I hope this reaches you well. And I'll be back tomorrow. Have a good one. Peace. It's good.